Hello, and welcome to Women with Books. I'm your host, author Lindsay Emory. I have a short introduction today because I really want to get to the main part of the podcast, which is my interview with Alyssa Martin. I'm so excited to have her on. As soon as I heard about this book, I knew we had to talk about it. She's warm, witty, wise, talented, and this book is going to make a lot of people enjoy their Saturday afternoon reading, especially while their husbands are reading football or watching football. Like, okay, honey, I'll just be over here reading my football romance book. But Alexa also has her own podcast that she's a part of. It's called All the Kissing. So I'll be putting information about that one in our Women with Books monthly newsletter, which I always put other podcasts in there that I think you would enjoy. But definitely when there's one of our guests has one, I will put that information in there. I think I mentioned it last week, but in case you didn't hear it, I will be having a book signing for my next release, which comes out October 9th. It's The Royal Runaway, and I'll be doing a book signing for that weekend. I think it's October 13th. It's that Saturday in Houston, Texas at Murder by the Book. And so if you would like to order a signed copy of The Royal Runaway, I talked to the people there at Murder by the Book, and they said if you have your book ordered before release day, and probably, like as soon as possible so they can have time to get it. I really don't know how long it takes, but I'll be able to sign it while I'm there, and they'll be able to ship it out to you. So that is exciting. Go to murderbooks.com and look for how to order that. I don't have it in front of me right now. I'll put some more detailed information in later. But they said just put a note in there that you order it, and there might be a note where you can say, I would like this signed by the author when she comes. So yeah, I'm so excited that can actually happen for some people. Also, but if you are in the Houston area and you want to come by and meet me and have me sign it in person, go ahead. They'll have the books available that day to buy. And I'll be there with Diane Mills. She's another romantic suspense author. And we're trying to figure out what we want to talk about that might be interesting to people who show up. So let me know if there's something particularly interesting, and we'll try to get on that. So I am about to leave town for a little anniversary trip for me and my husband. So I'm trying to get all of this scheduled so that it will be out for Alyssa Martin's debut release day. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, here's the rest of the episode. Enjoy.
Yay, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. No, it's okay. I love getting started like that. Hello, Alyssa Martin. Welcome to Women with Books.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know. I had to say, let's hit the recording button really quick because we were starting to gush, and I like to save all the gushing for for the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. School just started for my kids. Things are calming down a little bit. It's my book's coming out in a month. Things are getting real and exciting, so I'm doing really well.
Such good scheduling to have your book come out after school has started.
Yeah. It's been really good.
So you can have time to focus on that. Well, that, of course, is one of the main things I want to talk to you about. You have a debut book coming out September 11th, right?
Yes.
So it's called Intercepted, and you want to tell us about it, and we'll get started talking all about it.
So Intercepted is about Marley, and she is a longtime girlfriend of her boyfriend, who is a professional football player. And she's like waiting to get engaged. She's waiting for those big steps. And then she finds out that he's kind of a dirtbag. And they break up. And then an old fling from her past comes back into her life, but he's the new quarterback on her ex-boyfriend's football team. And so it's just like her journey with trying to find herself in her own independence, while kind of navigating this world of WAGs and professional athletes.
That is amazing. As soon as I heard about this book and saw the cover, I immediately went onto my TBR list, my wish list to get it. And I'll tell you right now, okay, you and I both were at RWA in Denver, and I'm like, I have to get Intercepted. And I went to your signing, your Berkeley signing, and it was like in this tiny little room.
Yeah.
You and Kristin Higgins and Sylvia Day, and
God, I was a mess.
I know.
I was like, oh my God, Sylvia Day, here's me. Like, it was insane.
And I don't do that well with cramped small spaces. Yeah. But I was in there. I was like kind of shouting at people. I was like, yo, grab me Intercepted. So I did get a ARC. However, my roommate was driving back to Dallas. So I put all of my ARCs in her car so I wouldn't have to take them. And I still haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, no.
But it's coming. And I'm still so excited. And but I have reached out to the other people who got the ARC. So I do know the questions that they want answered. So we'll get started on that. But how did you get the idea for Intercepted?
Well, so my husband played in the NFL for 8 years. So, but honestly, that kind of made me not want to write about football. I was like, ugh, football. Who cares about this? It is not cool. I was just not really. And so I had written my first copy, or my first draft, and I got into this contest called Pitch Wars. And, my mentors were just like, yeah, this is kind of a hot mess. Like, you're in a lot of genres. Like, they're just like, what do you think about writing about, like, being a football girlfriend? Like, and I was just like, I don't know, maybe. But then I just kind of let it resonate, and I was just like, yeah, like, this whole story came to me, and it just flew out of me, which is also insane because the first version that I scrapped took me, like, 4 years to write. And so I wrote this one in about a month and a half, and it was just, I think, like, a lot of inspiration by, like, the women that I have met, and I love sports romances. Like, I read them all the time, but just maybe a little bit of a different spin of showing a different side of the world and how it's not always, like, glamorous. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I'm kind of glad to hear you say, because I was thinking, I was like, if she was in that for so long, you do kind of get over it, and you do, like, can't really see why anybody would be interested. Yeah. I used to be, I guess I still am, a lawyer, and I couldn't write a law book or illegal anything to save my life, because I'm like, you guys, it is the most dull, soul-sucking thing. I mean, there's nothing sexy or interesting about it from a book perspective. But everything I know about sports wives and WAGS, is that an insult to say WAGS? I'm not sure.
No, I think it just stands for, like, wives and girlfriends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything I know about that is probably from reality shows.
Yeah.
So how much of that is true?
Well, so I would say that, like, Intercepted is, like, it's not my life. I've had people be like, oh, so it's, like, based on your life. And I'm like, no, not at all. Please do not think that while you're reading this book, because it's not. So I would say it's, like, a lot of the drama of, like, a reality show. I love Real Housewives. I love reality shows. Like, that is my guilty pleasure. That's not really, I don't feel very guilty about. But I would, like, the friendships, I would say, are real. There's not as much drama in, like, real life. Well, at least that I experience. Maybe for some people there's a lot of drama. And there's, of course, if you get a group of people together that are forced together, there are going to be some instances where people don't really click. But for the most part, I met the most amazing women, and I'm still such good friends with the majority of them. And I was so young when I joined, so they just, like, took me in, and I'll, like, be forever grateful. So I will say that was the thing that I had a hard time writing about for Intercepted, is there's, like, the wicked wives in this book. It's, like, very catty and cliquey, and that wasn't really my experience. So the good friendship that she does have with the wife, I would say I, like, poured all of the women that I had grown to love into that character, into those characters.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. Have you ever watched Hard Knocks, the HBO show?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Is that more realistic? I've always
Yes.
felt like that was, because I love that, because when it does show the players with like good family lives and they want to play with their kids and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I love Hard Knocks. I do. And I think now it's also hard for me because I have this love-hate relationship with the sport as well, because you've seen so many developments over the past year about like how dangerous it can be, but that is a show. It's, you know, it's men who are passionate about their career, and it's women who love their spouse and are really, you give up, it sounds so spoiled and first world to say like you give up so much to do it, but you know, there's only a small handful of the men that make the millions and millions and millions of dollars. And it's not as glamorous. Like when I was 37 weeks pregnant with my second child, my husband got traded and he had to move from Baltimore to Green Bay in 2 days.
Oh,
and so I was left packing up like our apartment, because you never know how long you're going to be places. So unless you have like a really good contract, you don't really settle down. So we, you know, packed up our apartment and moved, me and my 1.5-year-old and my super giant belly, across country. I met my doctor once before I got induced, and also got induced because they had an away game the next weekend, and I was just like, I know that as soon as he gets on a plane, my water will break. And I will be in this place where I know nobody, and laboring with a 1.5-year-old in this like hospital that I'll probably forget how to drive to. So he got induced one time. I remember going and checking into the hospital, and like the poor woman who was like registering me, she was like, "You're how far along? You've never seen a doctor?" And I was like, "Oh no, sorry, I just moved, so don't worry. Like I'm a semi-responsible mother." Like, so it's, you know, you move and you're forced to make these new friendships, and you're first, you know, my husband played on 5 different teams in the span of 8 years, so it's not a steady career.
No. But now he's retired, and you guys have been able to be in one place.
Yeah.
Have you passed this book or shared this book with any of your old NFL crew?
I have. Yeah,
and what
I have.
They think?
They love it. I mean, in the beginning of the book, I've definitely dedicated a lot, like they're in my acknowledgments, and they think it's fun. I was nervous. Like I said, there's like the catty wives, and I was just like, oh no, like I hope they're not offended. But no, the ones that have read it so far loved it. And again, we're friends, so they're happy for me. So, I mean, even if they didn't like it, I don't think they would tell me.
Good friends. Yeah. Keep your mouth shut. Well, I know you have 4 kids. I mean, and I know this because you've posted about it. I'm
Yes.
not like stalking
I know.
you or anything.
I'm not a very good like author, Instagrammer, or Twitter person. I'm just like, yeah, I write, but look at my children.
Oh no, that's what people love to see. Are you kidding me? My kids don't want to be on, so they're ruining me. All these.
Oh no! Oh, my 10-year-old's getting to that point where he's like, "Don't you put that on your Facebook?" And I was like, "Oh."
I'm like, "Are you putting that joke I made on?" I'm like,
yes.
"But it was so cute."
My 8-year-old loves it. She's like, "Yes, put it there. Let people know that I did it. Tell them how wonderful I am." I'm like, "Yay!" We'll see when this turns.
Right, it'll happen because all of a sudden, yeah, it does. About 12, I think.
Yeah. Oh no.
So with all these kids, and they've grown up, and they see mom and dad, you know, with this glamorous sports lifestyle. I mean, what if they want to get into professional sports when they get older? How do you feel about that?
Well, my daughter is not a sports fan, so I'm not worried about her. She is in her acting classes and loves art, and that is her path, so we're good on her. My oldest son, he loves football, like to the point where people are like, "Oh no, you have to monitor what your kid is looking at on the internet," and the only thing he ever looks at are like clips from football games or how to write your own football plays, and he loves it, but we won't let him play yet. And it's a point of contention between us. We've only let him play flag. And we'll eventually probably let him play tackle, but not for a couple more years. Me personally, I find it an unnecessary risk, especially with all of these new developments coming out, to do it so early. My 6-year-old, who's about to be 7, he also would like to play football, but again, at least probably not until 7th, 8th grade. My husband's a high school football coach, and we're around it, so we can't say, I don't think, point blank no. We're trying just to get them to choose other sports to show interest in. They love soccer, they love basketball. I'm like, what about golf? Golf seems like a good non-contact sport.
I have been trying to push golf on my kids for so long, ever since I heard that like the number of golf scholarships that go unclaimed every year.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
You only have to be mediocre.
Yeah. That is, I know I did golf for a few years, and then I stuck with soccer, and I was like, why did I do that? My life would have been so much more beneficial to play golf, but you can't really tell a kid anything.
Oh, I can. Yeah. I can show them a couple of checks, and then
yeah, we were very into the World Cup, and so during that, I think my son, because I think it's hard to get kids in America really excited about soccer because it's not huge, but so during the World Cup we were very into it, and so my son now is just like, oh, soccer, I really like soccer, and I'm like, oh, finally, because I think sports are great, and so I wouldn't mind if you wanted to be, but it's hard, right? Like, it's not just like, oh, you want to be that, like, the amount of people that play football, and then you see so many men, it's hard, right? It's their whole identity is wrapped up in athlete, and you can't be an athlete forever, and so when that ends, it's really hard on some people to acclimate to their new life where that huge part of their identity isn't there anymore. And so I think sports are great as long as it's not the sole thing that they're wrapped into. Like, I want them to have other interests.
Yeah, like writing books about
yes,
sports.
Exactly. Exactly. Please write. Be creative. Look at it's so funny because, my husband is like the cool one, and during like the Super Bowl, my son will like always ask tell his teachers like, oh yeah, my dad played football. My dad won 2 Super Bowls. And so he'll like go in and talk to them. And so when I got my book deal, I was like, DJ, look it, I got a book deal. Look it, you want me to order you some books? Look it, I got a discount on this book. Let's order some books. Like, I'm trying so hard to be like the cool one, but it just like doesn't quite measure up.
I think that it probably is sinking in more than you know. All of a sudden, my kids started hand selling my books to their teachers.
Oh, that's adorable.
And they'll hear that one of their teachers has a book club. They're like, my mom writes books. Would you like, and they will pull it up on Amazon in the middle of class. Oh my gosh. So just
I
be
love
prepared.
That so much.
And then I think like, oh crap, what did I put in that book?
Yeah. I know.
Am I going to be like looked at funny next time I go?
Yeah. Right. Like, oh, I don't know if this is the content of the book that they will appreciate. In the last book that I wrote, there's an entire sex scene is an entire chapter. I'm like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't tell the teachers this.
Yeah, they'll find out though.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I asked my friends who did get their ARCs and finished it at Denver, and I was like, okay guys, what do you want me to ask Alexa Martin? So these are direct questions.
Okay.
But one of my friends wanted to know, like, how did you draw on your experiences? And I guess Marley has like a job and her own priorities, and trying to balance that with like the crazy NFL life.
Well, so for me personally, I think we got married when I was 20. I had my first kid 9 months later. So I had been at home throughout this whole, like our whole marriage, throughout his entire career. And it was, for me, a struggle, like finding my own identity, because you get so wrapped up in being his wife and moving from place to place, and all of your friends are friends through him, and it's just like you kind of lose your identity. So it was something that like I really wanted Marley to have, was to meld both of her worlds together, right? Like you can have a husband or a boyfriend or anybody who has a successful life, and you can also have your own, and you can make those work. So it was very important for me that she had something separate from him. And a lot of my friends, like before they had kids, would, and some after, obviously, they had their own like jobs. They would move and find new jobs wherever they went. But, you know, it's sometimes, again, when you're moving around, it's hard to keep like finding a new job in a different state everywhere you go. But yes.
It sounds like you don't get a lot of notice if you were traded in like 2 days or something.
No, you don't. There's no notice. That was the craziest thing. And same with actually my third pregnancy. He got picked up, I think a week before I was scheduled to like get induced, and they like had to push back my induction. And I was like, do you know how long 24 hours is when you're this pregnant in August? Like, because they wouldn't let him come home for the birth until a certain day. But yeah, so I wanted her to push through that, right? Like, it's so easy sometimes, like if you don't have to work, maybe you don't want to, maybe like I didn't when I had my children and I was moving, like I just wanted to, when they were small, be with them. Different story now.
Yeah.
But
Mama's got to go on a trip.
Yeah, I gotta go somewhere, anywhere. I'm going.
Just put my thumb out on the road.
Yeah. Somebody please take me. But so that was important for me, that she, and I think it's also really helped in the book, like to create these friendships and build, right? Because I don't know anybody who is just with their significant other, right? Like there's so many, like I think strong female friendships are so important, and so I think her having those extra parts gave her the opportunity to build on these friendships, which was important in the book.
Yes, I always have to have a strong friendship in there someplace, and
they're so much fun to write.
Yeah, because you get to like play around with another different personality and stuff.
Yeah,
it's very fun. Well, speaking of all of that, I have another reader who wants to know, will this be turned into a movie or TV show? Because I found it very cinematic.
Oh, well, we can only hope. I have no idea, but that would be so cool. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I was hoping for some big scoop there, Alexa.
Oh, yeah, I know.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Hopefully speak it out into existence.
Yeah. And I also want to know, I had 2 people say they want to know about the next book. And I know that's probably crazy because it hasn't even released yet, but that's a good sign.
Yay!
So you've got another, is it part of a series? Or
it's a 3-book series of like standalones, like interconnected standalones. I don't know what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
I didn't drink all of my coffee. But yeah, so there's 3 books. The second one comes out in March, Fumbled. And I'm working on the edits for that one right now. I'm really excited for that book. It is, I think my Intercepted was just fun for me to write. Like I had a blast writing that book. And I think Fumbled, it touches on a few like deeper subjects. I think that for me as a part of this football world, that it would be almost irresponsible of me not to take like a deeper look into some of the more dangerous parts of it. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I'm able to touch on that more in the second book. And also in the second book, show more of the like fun female groups that like I was around. So I'm really excited. It's TK's book. Mm-hmm. And I love it. And the cover is so pretty.
Well, yes. So let's just talk about that, because both the covers, like when you got Intercepted's cover, did you scream? Did you faint?
Yeah, I probably cried. I probably cried a little bit. I love it. I have it blown up to like poster size and framed in my office.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I didn't know what it was going to be because, like you're not really a part of that process. They like had mentioned, asked like kind of if I had any ideas, which I didn't really at all. I don't think I would have ever been able to think of a cover that's as pretty as the one that they gave me. So yeah, I love it so much.
Well, yeah, and it's not just that we as authors don't really have any control over the cover at all. It's also for authors of color who want like a character, a black character, or any kind of character reflected on a cover. They get told no a lot of times. So for you to get that and
without even asking, it was pretty amazing. Berkeley has been a dream, honestly. It's been the most amazing experience that I can ever I couldn't have even dreamt of it. They've been so wonderful to work with.
Well, they made it look effortless. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you see this cover and you're like, of course this is what this cover should be like. Why aren't all publishers making covers like this?
Yeah, the like illustrated covers are so good. And also the lipsticks that they've put on these covers, I'm like, can you guys start your own line? Because I would like both of these colors. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good idea for some blog posts. You need to be trying out some lipsticks to like match, I don't know. You and Jasmine Guillory, because she like loves lipsticks.
I love Jasmine Guillory. I just like have like kind of been like a creep. I obviously follow her on like Instagram and Twitter and like listen to like all of the podcasts she's on, and she's just so much fun. I'm like, we can be friends.
Yes. And
she's so wonderful.
She's obsessed with the lipsticks and all the food, and I'm like, those are relevant to my interests.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we should start a club, and we will eat food and wear lipsticks, and it will be wonderful, and read books.
I just got a little chill. Yes. Okay, we're gonna reach out to Jasmine and have a lipstick food book club, and I think everyone listening to this wants to be a part of the club now.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
We briefly mentioned it at the beginning, but this is your debut book.
Yeah.
And so I have to know, what's the best part of being a debut author?
I honestly, it feels like all of it. Like every day, like I get like an email or just something happens, and it is just so amazing. Like when I started writing, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna let anybody read this at all. Like I'm just gonna store it on my computer forever and just be happy that I did it. And so like as it's happened, like I just honestly can't believe that any of it is happening. Like my cover, holding my book, that first book signing, RWA was the best experience in the entire world.
Was that your first time at RWA?
It was my first. Yeah, it was my first.
And your first time going, and your first time as a debut.
Yeah, it was. I fangirled so much. I did not have a voice when I came home. It was the most amazing thing. And so I honestly, there's just been so much that has been like, I get to do podcasts. Like, this is so cool. This is so much fun. Like, somebody wants to talk to me and they're not a toddler or an 8-year-old yelling at me. This is the best.
I mean, I could bring one of those in if it makes you feel more comfortable.
Oh my God, no, please don't.
Did any part of writing or publishing the book surprise you?
Like all of it, I would say. Like I said, so my first book was a disaster. It was like, the people that chose me in Pitch Wars, they are amazing, and I will love them forever for seeing past the mess that I made, because I didn't know anything, right? When I started writing, I knew nothing. I didn't know about genres. I didn't know about like these rules for contemporary romance. I didn't know about query letters or synopsis. Like, I didn't know anything. So really it was just like a crash course, and thanks to Pitch Wars, I had a relatively smooth and easy like journey, and which again I will forever be thankful for, because I know I've seen my friends query and like everything, so I've like got very lucky with that and finding my agent through that, who my agent is the best also. But yeah, so I would say everything. And even though it was like a pretty fast process for me, it's still so slow. Like, fast in publishing is not what other people think of as fast.
No. It's not. So I always like to give these numbers just so readers can understand. So when did you sign or sell this book?
I found out about my book deal. I can tell you the exact date. It was July 24th, which was my 10-year wedding anniversary is the day that like I got it in. So July last year. So July
24th, 2017.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then you get published in September of 2018, which is very fast.
Yeah.
And it also speaks to that your book was already written and polished and, because otherwise it takes longer when you have to write it from scratch and things.
Yeah.
So, that takes a long time. I don't think people understand.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just like, it was super fast. And they're like, it's been over a year. And I was like, I know, it's really fast.
Yeah, because that's also, usually at least 3 rounds of edits and then copy edits and then more copy edits. And then more. It's like they keep sending you things to look at.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, I thought you already did that. I'm like, no, I haven't done round 7 yet. Come on.
Yeah, I know, right? I had my first writing catastrophe. My edits for book 2 were due, and I went to, my daughter had a play. She had her first play and she was in 2. So I went to the first one, and my husband and son, the oldest son, went to the second one, and I took the 2 little ones to McDonald's to play during the second play. And I was like, I'm going to be productive and I'm going to do these finishing touches on my edits. And when we were getting ready to leave, my 3-year-old was like, I gotta go poop. And I was just like, okay, wait, hold on. I was closing my computer, trying to rush out so I didn't leave all of my stuff in the McDonald's play place. And I somehow had been doing edits on the wrong version, and I completely erased all of the major edits that I had done the day before they were due. And I didn't notice until I opened them up to send, and they were all missing. And it was... So I'm doing my edits again for book 2 because I lost them all.
Oh.
So my first one was like, well, that won't happen again, I guess. But so lots of edits.
That happens. And, well, I had one earlier this spring. What happened? So I always try to date my drafts, right? Mm-hmm. And weirdly enough, I had 2 versions that were almost exactly to the year apart. Speaking to the fact that this takes a long time.
Yeah.
So just for example, it was probably February 15th, 2017 and February 15th, 2018. And I thought I had opened up the most current one, and I had opened up the last one because I'm just this came out in February. Let me pull that up. And so I started making edits on that one, and it was one of those things where I was looking, I was like, wow, I really thought we took all of this out. What is going on? And thankfully I caught myself and realized, we took this out, or there's something there that triggered me that I was like, I should have known. And I realized what I had done. So it wasn't too far along into the process. But I could have sent back to my editor a year-old draft.
Yeah. It was... Yeah. I called my agent. Well, I didn't call her. I texted her. I was just all of my edits are gone. And she called me, and I was just hysterically crying. And I was like, I'm so mad. I'm still mad at myself. Every time I think about it, I kind of want to punch myself, but it's over. What can you do? And except for get a really good hard drive backup for the future.
I was gonna say have one of those it's saving every 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, what I had did is I had turned my computer off while we were driving to the place because my battery was low, and I was like, I just need it this much. So when I had turned it back on, it opened up an old copy. And when I clicked save, running to chase my toddler to the bathroom, I replaced the other one with the new one. So, yeah.
Well, I hope your toddler felt good about himself.
Oh, yeah. She was, she cared 0. Oh, yeah. No, she cared 0% at all. Nope.
Well, you said something about getting to be on podcasts, but you have a podcast as well, I would just like to mention for other people who are interested in more about this. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so All the Kissing is our blog podcast that I co-founded with some of my other romance writing friends that I met through Pitch Wars. we had kind of broken off into this side group of romance writers, and I was just like, I love podcasts, but there weren't any, like, again, when I started writing, I didn't know anything, and I was just like, there's nothing specific towards writing romance,
right,
when it comes to, so they were just like, oh yeah, that'd be great, let's do a blog, let's do this, like, as when you're with friends who are smarter than you, they make everything so much better. And so so we started that. It's a really fun blog and podcast that my co-host Shannon does the vast majority of the work, because I have been hiding in my editing and writing caves, and so she has been, like, amazing at doing everything. But yeah, it's really fun. We just have a fun time, I think. Right? Is that like the point of podcasts, is mainly it's just so much fun.
You really do. If it starts becoming a drag, then no one wants to listen to you.
Yeah.
Well, I do enjoy listening to you guys, and I will put that definitely in the show notes, and in my newsletter every month I recommend other podcasts. So I will put that link in there, so that I guess readers and writers who are listening will probably want to learn more about that. You have in one of your bios, I forget where I found it online, that you love your book boyfriends. So I was wondering, who are your favorite book boyfriends?
Well, my most favorite book boyfriend is Hawk Delgado from Kristin Ashley's Mystery Man. I am a little bit obsessed with Kristin Ashley books. Actually, what's funny is one of my football wife's friends was just like, oh, you read romance? I read romance too. Read this one. And we had been, like, on a ski vacation together, where I did not ski, but that is another story. And so I, like, came home and I downloaded the book, and I fell into, like, this Kristin Ashley coma. Like, I lost a month of my life probably just reading all of her books. But Hawk Delgado will always be my number one man, even though if I met him in real life, I would probably hate him. But in the book, it is amazing, and I love him so much. It's my favorite.
So is he like a certain type of trope that you
He's
enjoy,
like, they're like commandos. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on in that book. There's like kidnappings, and he's like a commando who like saves her. She like always needs to be saved from like motorcycle compounds. Like, there's a lot going on in this book, which might be why I like it, because it can just like, it's always going somewhere else. I have that book in print, ebook, and audiobook, so I can just like listen to it whenever the moods, when I'm in like a reading funk, that's what I go back to.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. I also loved Gavin in The Wedding Dates.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't? And I'm reading A Duke by Default right now, and so I feel like I've got another one.
Okay, that's the new Alyssa Cole. Okay.
Yeah.
I have not gotten that one yet. Is that one might have been
it just came out, yeah.
Was that one of the arcs at RWA too, or was that Princess in Theory? I forget which one I
it was the Princess in Theory in the room, and then she was signing the one from the Loyal League.
Yes.
Which I got.
Well, I don't have Duke by Default yet, but I know when I talked to Alyssa, she told me about it. I was like, check. That checks all my boxes.
Exactly, yeah. I'm like, I haven't been able to like fully read because I've been doing edits, but like when I read it, I'm just like, yeah, I'm only like 20% in, and like, you got me. I'm here for it. He makes swords. Like, okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Can you read while you're writing your own books?
I usually do rereads of like books that I love, like Kylie Scott's Stage Dive series I've reread a few times, the Kristin Ashley books, Rebekah Weatherspoon's Haven I've reread, but I have not read a single sports romance since I started writing. Yeah. I'm just, for like a lot of reasons, I don't want to like inadvertently take ideas, and then I also don't want to be like, oh my god, this is so good and I'll never write like this, and just like get down and not be able to. But yeah, so I do read, not as much when I'm in like the full, but like if I am stuck, I think that sometimes doing like a reread of a book that I love and just like remembering how I feel when I read these books and like kind of getting motivated to be like, this is what I want my readers to feel. That helps. I also love a rom-com when I'm stuck too, though. But
well, that's really interesting, because I think writers probably fall in two camps about that. The people who are like, I can't read in my genre while I'm writing it, and then the people who are like, I don't care. I just take it all in, and it goes into my soup, and it, it's fine. Because I talked to Sarah McLean more recently on the podcast. Because she reads like a book a day.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Like, well, I
goals.
I thought you've got to like shift out. She's like, nope, I just put it all in there, and it works for her, obviously. Yeah. So when people ask you for recommendations, is there a book or an author that you always recommend, or have you already recommended that?
I mean, I probably already, like I said, I have bought Kristin Ashley books for so many of my friends. Also, Kylie Scott books I love. I feel like The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory is just so cute and such like a perfect book for people that don't read a lot of romance, like get started with. Mm-hmm. So that one, I'm trying to think.
It kind of tricks them, right?
Yeah, right? It's like so sweet, and it's not, I don't want to say, no, I'm not going to say that. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just like, I feel like it's like a good starter, right? Like Mystery Man is not a good starter for people that have not read romance, because they're going to be like, what did you give me? This is insane. Which a few of my friends have said to me. I'm just like, just keep reading it and don't tell me anything bad, because that is my boo and I will have to fight you. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's on my bookshelf. Alyssa Cole, obviously, especially for historical. The Loyal League series, I met her at RWA, and I was, again, like squealing, fangirling, embarrassing mess. But like, I did manage to tell her how much, as I don't really read a lot of historical, but that series was so amazing, to the point where like I had to put the book down and like take a break, because I had so much anxiety over what was going to happen. Like, I was just like, I know it's a romance book, like I know they're gonna get their happily ever after, but like, are they? I don't know. Like, I was so nervous, and she does such a good job. Her books are beautiful.
Just hearing you say that, I started actually tearing up a little bit, because that's how I felt too. I mean, you can say, oh yeah, they're gonna get their HEA, and I know that because I know Alyssa, but at the same time, have I ever read an HEA set in the Civil War before? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there's this part of me that's like, that can't happen. Oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. I'm just waiting. Because also, I know Alyssa's a good enough writer that she would like put something heartbreaking in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was like, no, a nervous wreck reading those books.
Oh, just like, thinking about it is making my stomach like clench up. In a good way. In the best way. It was the best. But like, I did need to take a break and like go tend to my children, who probably needed me anyways. Like, I want them to go just turn it into a time travel book, and then they can like
I don't
know.
I didn't realize how much I liked the time travel like trope until somebody was just like, oh, what are you like into, like what are your favorite books and movies right now? And I was like I really like Outlander. I was like, I really found this new movie About Time, which if you've never watched About Time with Rachel McAdams, it's the cutest movie ever. And I was like, oh, like the time travels away, like all of these books are just like, oh yeah, I'm really into that. So I feel like if maybe we should ask Alyssa Cole to write a time travel book, because I would really read it. Any authors, please write one, because I'm really into them, and I don't know if I could write them.
You know what? I don't know if she'd want to, but if any author could, because she has both written the historicals and the contemporaries. It would be so good. It would be so good. And she could just like smush them all together.
God, just combine them, and it's just all I want to read now. And dang it, now I'm not going to be able to read anything, because I'm going to want to read that book, and it doesn't even exist.
Do we need to write Alyssa Cole time travel fan fiction?
Yeah, can we?
Oh gosh. No, yeah, that's one of those things too. I realized that lately. I was putting a bunch of books together that I really liked. I was like, these all have like magic in them. And I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, right. Like you don't even realize. I'm just like, no, I don't even like that. That's dumb. And I'm just like, oh wait, yeah, I guess I really like that a lot.
All right, we'll have to trade some time travel recommendations too.
Yeah, somebody send me time travel recommendations because now I really would like to read one.
Yeah, because it's, I could go on and on, because it's like the fish out of water like aspect, and you know, it's not going to be instant love because you just came in from like a different century, so you've got to like work through your issues, but they're not going to be realistic issues like your feet stink and you snore.
Yeah, right, because there's like so much. I'm like, I would not, like, I watch Outlander, I was like, I would just die, honestly. Like, I would not survive. I would have died within like the first like 5 minutes. Like, there's no running water, I can't shave my legs. I mean, also the fact that, you know, she's goes back, I'm black, so I would like just not even want to. Like, there's not many like eras that I would want to travel back to. However, yeah, I just like wouldn't do it. So like these time travel books are amazing to me that they can even think that, because like, again, my story would end like, and then I died. Like, I don't know. I died.
I always think about that too, because Diana Gabaldon crafted the perfect heroine to go back in time. Yeah. And if Diana, if you ever come on the podcast, I will ask you about this, because, you know, she created, like, she was a war nurse who had grown up around archaeological digs and she goes, I don't really like running water that much anyway. I'm like, oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. Who doesn't like running water? That's not something I've ever heard, ever. Everybody likes running water. Yeah.
Like, I see what you did there, Diana.
She like knows how to do all of the herbs. Like, I can barely make dinner for my children. Every night is a surprise that I have to make my kids dinner. My oldest is 10. I'm still like, oh yes, I have to feed you. And so like, I just could not. Like, I could not.
Oh. At the risk of being off topic, it's great when they start cooking for themselves.
Oh, God, I can't wait. All my 10-year-old can make is like ramen noodles.
Hey, that counts.
My husband teaches them. He teaches them to make the craziest things. So I was like, maybe we can teach them something a little healthier. I don't know. My daughter wants to be a baker, and so it's the worst thing ever, because she just blows up my kitchen. And then like her version of cleaning up is just throwing a few dirty dishes in my sink and like leaving flour everywhere. I'm like, this is not clean. But again, sorry, off topic.
I know. Yes. I could talk to you all day, obviously. But are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Just pop out whatever comes to mind. We'll
okay.
Dark or milk chocolate?
Dark.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
When your phone rings, do you answer it?
No.
How do you normally waste time on the internet?
Social media. Twitter all the time.
On your next vacation, will it be to the mountains or the beach?
I mean, I live in Colorado, so most likely the mountains.
There's worse places to go.
Yeah.
Do you call it soda or pop?
Okay, I feel like this is a hard question for me, because I've started calling it soda more, and I don't know if that's because I lived on like the East Coast for a long time, but like when I was a kid, I always called it pop. So now maybe I'll call it soda pop. I don't know.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Denver.
Okay.
But my like grandma was from Chicago, and I lived with my mom and my grandparents, and so they all called it pop, so I did too. But now I've been calling it soda more. So
I know this is one of those things that always fascinates me: the geography of words.
Yeah.
Every time something comes up on social media about, you know, do you use buggy or cart, or I'm always like, oh, that's so interesting, because like you, I've moved around the country, and so I can usually pick up different things and, you know, sound normal, but
yeah.
But that's one of those things that like people really stick to their soda or pop for a long time.
Yeah, no, I've been switching. I don't know why, but now I call it soda more. Maybe because my kids call it soda. I don't know.
That could be it. It's just like soft drink code switching.
Yeah. I will never just call everything Coca-Cola, though. I'm sorry, you were wrong.
I know. That's Texas. That's Texas. Can I have a Coke? What kind? Yeah.
Yeah. No.
On a romance hero, do you prefer the washboard abs, the forearms, or the chiseled jaw?
Oh, a chiseled jaw, I think.
Are you more likely to buy a book cover with abs on it or a beach scene?
Abs.
And the very important last question, what are your feelings about turning to the last page of a book first?
No.
Okay.
No. However, I might have done that in the, not first, but in the Alyssa Cole book, I probably did, like, peek at the end.
Yeah, because you were going crazy.
Yeah, I won't do it in a book, but I will do it in a movie. I'll, like, check, because you don't know in movies. So sometimes in movies, I'll check, and then I'll, like, go back and then fill in the space.
Oh, what was that one movie? Oh, I forget. There was one movie where the person dies at the end, and it made me fight people on Facebook. I was so... I
won't watch Nicholas Sparks movies anymore because I have realized that they always are the worst endings ever. And so I've stopped watching those because I watched one of the ones and I, like, forgot, right? Because, like, I was in my happy, like, I read romance. People get happily ever afters. And then I can't even remember which movie it was. And they, like, died. Like, very unexpectedly. Like, I felt like the movie was over and then they died. And I was just like, nope, never again. You will not get me ever again.
And don't you feel when people are talking on social media about certain TV shows too, then they're crying about them? Like, that's why I didn't watch This Is Us for a really long time.
Okay, I do like...
No, I like it.
Crying on a show sometimes.
Oh, you do like it? Okay, because
it depends. It's mainly like the last movie I did it with was the I think it's The Mountain Between Us with Kate Winslet and Idris Elba, and that movie basically had everything that I hate, like the outdoors, a lot of snow, heights, plane crashes, like things that I will not do. And so I was like watching this and I was just like, I am so stressed out. Like, are they going to die? Like, I cannot. And so, like, I, like, fast forwarded to the end and, like, saw part. And I was like, okay, now I can go back and watch this because I was so stressed out. Like, Castaway, it was, like, the new version of Castaway to me, which was, I feel like, the worst movie of all time. I will never. I hated that movie so much. And everybody loves it, but I hate it. Like,
all right,
no.
We need to come up with a good way to end this on a happy note. What is a good movie with a happy ending that you like?
Oh my God, I mentioned it earlier, but About Time and Crazy Stupid Love. Okay. Those are my favorites.
All right. Well, on that note, because I can't end it on, this is the worst movie of all time.
But other people love it. Other people love it.
Yeah, I'm just still, I want to end it on what you like. No, it's okay. Thank you so much for being on today, Alexa.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was so great. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. I started this podcast so I could have the conversations I wanted to have about books. And by listening, you're part of the conversation too. Contact me on our Facebook page or on any of my social media accounts at Lindsay Emory if you want to talk some more, or sign up for my fantastic newsletter. And please leave me a review. It helps other listeners and readers find us. 5 stars if you love books. Thanks, and keep reading.